Good evening, everybody.
And we have lots of exciting times to talk about in the world of professional wrestling this week. A riot at a mall in Chile, and a riot backstage in TNA as they try to figure out who the hell is in charge. And no rioting for anything involved in WWE, but we may all riot with joy for the King of Pro Wrestling. So, where do we want to start?
I don't know. Pick a topic, any topic.
All right. Well, have you seen this video of the fans going absolutely batshit crazy in Chile?
Oh yeah, over that at the Seth Rollins signing that went from a signing to looting?
Yeah, it quickly devolved into something where they rushed him out of there because there was way too many people and way too small of a space. And once he left, the crowd just went nuts.
Lord have mercy.
I didn't realize Seth Rollins was that popular in Chile. I guess there's a big contingent of Seth Rollins fans over there.
I don't know. I mean, everybody had been tweeting, how great and passionate the crowd was and this, that, and the other, and the fans were just great. And then you see today that he goes for a signing and it's a bunch of whacked out batshit insane people.
Well, maybe they're just that starved for wrestling in Chile that that's how badly they tried to cram into too small of a space.
I don't know that, or they've been following him on social media or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy. But I heard the first night's house show did like 14,000 people, which WWE would kill for a crowd that size at any house show here.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're starved for entertainment or something down there, but I can't see them doing
it. They don't get to see the WWE as often as we do. They're not accustomed to it being complete shit like it is.
Or, as I said at the beginning, maybe they just really like Seth Rollins. They really, really, really like him.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Santiago Seth, I guess we could call him.
Maybe that'll be his new nickname when he comes back. But
it's better than some of his names.
I don't even want to know half of the names he's called, especially not my ex-girlfriends.
Ooh, poor Sethy.
Poor Sethy Poo. But speaking of poor people, poor Seth Draken having to figure out what the hell's going on in Impact, I'm sure he'll have plenty to say about that later, but I know you've got a few words to say about it right now, Abby, because somehow they survived again.
I know, I'm kind of shocked. Actually, I shouldn't be. Didn't I say last week that they're like, the roach during the nuclear winter or something until that last little leg stops twitching?
Yeah, I'm the one that's been saying for the longest time, and you have too, that they're like cockroaches in the apocalypse. They'll be the last thing left.
Yeah, I thought for sure this time, it was going to be the last time, but somehow, some way, I don't know if Dixie called her daddy and got him to feed him some money or what, but...
Well, that's the really interesting thing about it is we have a mystery benefactor. Nobody is owning up to ponying up the money for this set of tapings.
Somebody had tossed out there it was Bill Simmons from ESPN or whatever, and that was a fan theory that somebody ended up printing. I don't know. If I had to guess, I'm guessing maybe Dixie did call her daddy and get money from Panda.
Bob Carter said he wasn't going to give her any more money years ago.
You don't know Southern daddies and their daughters. Unless it's mine, they kind of, give in to them.
So you think there was just enough pulling on the heartstrings that he caved?
Could have been. I mean, unless there is some third, fourth, fifth, sixth party in the mix somewhere that we don't know about.
Well, speaking of third, fourth, fifth, and sixth parties, the dissection of this company goes on even though the tapings go on, or maybe not go on due to Hurricane Matthew, but apparently this pie was getting sliced about 5 different ways at one point this week, with WWE buying the video library and Billy Corgan buying everything else. What did you make of that rumor?
That it was just a rumor, because Vince will never do something like that.
I can't imagine why Corgan would want to own the company and not the tape library anyway. That's the most valuable asset they have. Yeah,
but Vince would never buy that without, a cease and desist and no compete from, Dixie and Billy Corgan. So, I wrote about it as basically a rumor, and you're right, Corgan would be stupid not to try to get the tape library because that's where the money's at.
Yeah, if they're going to try to make a viable company out of this, not that I'm sure it can be at this point, but you would have to find some way to repackage, redistribute, maybe have some sort of subscriber platform for your old content. But don't they have one already?
They used to. I know they used to because I used to subscribe to it. I don't think they do anymore. I think it was a couple of years ago they took it offline.
Mm-hmm. Well, it probably never caught on or even could catch on to the I'm tongue-tied again tonight. Couldn't catch on to the degree WWE Network has, but
this was before WWE Network.
Oh, it's that old ago that they actually tried.
Yeah, I mean it was a Roku channel. They had a free version of it and they had a paid version of it. I mean, it had everything back to the Asylum days.
I do remember for a little while you could get like the individual Wednesday night pay-per-views on YouTube for I think $2.99 or something.
I can't remember what this was called, but I had it on my Roku, and it was like I actually enjoyed it because, okay, I don't have to watch the current product, but I can go back and watch some of the DVDs, and I can go back and watch the old Asylum stuff, and back from the beginning of the company.
Right, and you could go back and watch those old X Division, Ultimate X matches, and the AJ Styles matches, and Samoa Joe's debut, and all the good stuff that we all fondly remember at this point.
Yeah, this was before WWE Network even came out. Mm-hmm. And I think they quit, they took it offline before WWE Network came on.
So I
don't know really what happened.
They started too early and they left too soon. Isn't that the story of TNA in general?
Timing sucks with them.
Yes, it does. Jason, your thoughts on this continuing ongoing debacle and the fact that the only thing that seems to be able to knock them off anymore is a hurricane.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Shane Helms either.
No.
Yeah, I don't think the WWE would step in until TNA completely went under to get the tape library, or like you said, if they did, they would take the company over and do it. They are the cockroaches that won't go away, and I had a lot of fun schooling someone who called me a bandwagoner on Twitter, saying I couldn't name 5 things wrong with TNA, which I did in about 45 seconds after he tweeted that to me. One of which, I think the biggest problem with TNA is taping 2 months ahead of time. I mean, assuming the best, that the hurricane doesn't hit, TNA is going to be taping until the end of 2016 in the next week or two, and that's just not a good way to operate in 2016.
Well, they're in survival mode, though. That's the only thing they know how to do, is tape as much TV as they can and milk it for as long as they can until they figure out how to get more money for the next set of tapings. They're clearly in survival mode. That's all they can do.
Well, one way to not do that is on your pay-per-view have a regular tag team match, and then on free TV, let's just give away a cage match with these tag teams for free. That's not working. You know what else isn't working for me? Having Jobby Jobwords win the title from a legitimate MMA fighter on free TV. That doesn't quite sit right with me either.
I don't hold that against Eddie Edwards. I like him as a wrestler, and I've liked him for, 12, 13 years now. I don't think it's his fault. It's just, once again, as Abby said, their timing just sucks.
It does. And speaking of timing, I do want to transition on the subject of time with that, a tale of 2 tag team matches that we had over this weekend. One in TNA, one at ROH's All-Star Extravaganza. One was done right, one was not. In TNA, we had the Hardys taking on Abyss and Crazy Steve. And this match went 22 minutes, and the ROH match went 23 minutes. The ROH match was actually longer, but it managed to hold my attention. I am a big fan of garbage wrestling. I loved ECW back in the day. I loved FMW back in the day. But one thing that just really doesn't hold my attention is when in the middle of the match, you go backstage and you cut to a pre-taped segment. I just tuned right out at that point during the TNA pay-per-view. You contrast that with what happened at ROH with Christopher Daniels getting busted open early in the match. His face just a mask of crimson. And this thing went on damn near 25 minutes. The action was fast, furious. There were tables, there were ladders. I don't think I've ever seen as many tables get broken as I saw get broken in this match. And from start to finish, the entire 23 minutes was a fun ride. It just wasn't with the TNA tag team match.
I'm going to split a hair before I let Abby give her 2 cents. I think they're both great matches, and you're probably going to say, what the fuck am I smoking? but I'm not. I'm not smoking anything. I think they're both great for individual reasons. I think the TNA match is great because it is the continuation of this deletion or decay saga, this whole Brother Nero and Broken Matt saga, and if it's wacky that it turns into a movie in the middle of the match while they all just sit there backstage on their phones, that's fine. I don't mind that because that's what I've come to expect from Broken Matt Hardy. But as a pure tag match in just straight up balls out action, Ring of Honor clearly is better, but TNA, because it's wacky, I enjoy that. So, Abby, your thoughts?
I enjoyed All-Star Extravaganza, and honest to God, I enjoyed Bound for Glory. I enjoyed both shows. Tag team matches, I enjoyed both matches for different reasons.
Yeah.
The Ladder War 6, it was insanity from start to finish. Christopher Daniels, my God, I enjoyed him before. I respected him before. After that match was over, I had a shit ton more respect for the man to go out there and put his body through what he put his body through.
He can't do that too many more times at his age. His bump card's got to be about
No, he can't. But it was great. The Bucks were great. Motor City Machine Guns were great, even though they kind of disappeared after about 18 minutes, and we didn't see them for like the last 5 of the match. And then on the flip side, you have the Delete or whatever it was called. And it's like, it was wacky and B-movie-ish and funny. And you had Smashing Pumpkins, literally smashed pumpkins. It was fun. And that's what it was, because you knew going in it wasn't going to be a technical tag team match. It was going to be whacked out. And it was whacked out, and it was great for what it was.
And I think it's
I had no problem with it at all.
I almost felt it was fitting that if this was going to be the last Bound for Glory ever, that it should be that much of a beautiful, glorious train wreck with the Hardys coming out on top of the pile. It's like, not a swanton, but a swan song, maybe. He couldn't really go out on a higher note than that.
Yeah, I mean, the entire show, I didn't really have any complaints about the whole show.
I think the finals of the inaugural Grand Championship was probably the only low point.
Well, that's
I didn't
because
like the fact that you had pinfalls in a match that had judges' decisions. I didn't like the fact that they announced what the judges' decisions were after each round, and I didn't like the fact that it was scored as closely as it was either.
All right, Abby, what were you going to say?
Sandow or Rex or whatever he's called himself just didn't look like he wanted to be there at all. We all remember Damian Sandow from WWE and all this charisma he had and, all this. And then it was like, you get this version in TNA and it's like, who are you?
I've been trying to figure that out because I like the promos that he does on Impact Wrestling, but then when he's wrestling, it feels like there's something missing.
Yeah, I mean, the looks on his face, everything was like he acted like he did not want to be there. And that was telegraphed very, clearly during the bout. So, along with it being a confusing kind of weird match, you had this person in there who acted like, looked like I really don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
So.
And in hindsight, it's even more weird now that Eddie Edwards is the world champion, that he went to a split decision win in a confusing clusterfuck of a match. That's not exactly the way you build up a world champion. No,
but it wasn't the first set of tapings. Wasn't that the second set of tapings when he won? Maybe something happened in between that we don't really fully know about yet.
I'm honestly guessing the reason they did this is because of the fact that Bobby Lashley has a match on the October 21st Bellator show, and they probably figured, we don't need him trying to divide his attention between us and his MMA career right now, so we're going to take the title off him and let him go do that for a while.
Or it could have been his decision to do that. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, it could have been his. You know what? I might even get a chance to ask him that at some point, so we'll find out later on down the road. But either way, made sense to me, except it just wasn't well executed.
I don't know. The fact that, Cody Rhodes is in the middle of a TNA ring right now on my television does not make sense to me.
Well, speaking of execution, that was another weird thing that happened this week, because Cody started tweeting in the middle of the tapings, well, I'm done. I'm going all the way over to England to wrestle for What Culture Pro Wrestling. And his match, I believe, aired at 2:30 Eastern today, although I didn't get a chance to watch.
Not a lot of people did, according to the pay-per-view problems they were having.
Oh, so it was kind of a debacle, huh?
There was part of the show that according to my Twitter feed, there were some big issues with the pay-per-view. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. I guess he did not sign with TNA, even though TNA announced that they did sign him. Apparently they signed Brandy, but not him. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation.
It is, and I thought the whole way they were getting around calling him Cody Rhodes is because her name is not trademarked, so they could say Cody and Brandy Rhodes and get away with it. I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, at least right now on Impact.
Mm-hmm. So why they would continue to have her and not him, I'm not disrespecting her by saying this, but what does she bring to the table? WWE never seemed to find any use for her.
Except as an announcer.
And not memorable enough for me to say, whoa, I want her on every single TV show doing announcing. Nothing about her sticks out in my mind at all.
I don't know, maybe it's just the last name.
Well, they didn't even use her last name. They called her Eden Styles.
I know. I'm saying maybe TNA finds the last name appealing.
I guess. I'll not try to make any further sense of it than that. So,
don't ask me to think about what TNA is thinking.
Did you give your thoughts on the Grand Championship match, Stevie?
Yeah.
You kind of started it off, but I didn't really catch your opinion on what was wrong with it.
Well, I don't mind that they have this idea to score it like an MMA fight, but the problem with doing it that way is, as you already alluded to, you can't have it both ways. In an MMA fight, you don't have pinfalls. In an MMA fight, when the judges render a decision, they're not going, well, okay, you scored a pin in this round and you got a takedown in this round. It's not scored like amateur wrestling. It's scored like a freaking fight. You either knock the guy out, you submit him, or you do more in each round by, outstriking or outworking your opponent to score more in the round than your opponent did. And it's hard to see how those criteria add up in the Grand Championship match because we don't even know what they were scoring. In an MMA fight what they score, and they score on octagon control or cage control, whichever you want to call it. They score on effective aggression. They score on your ability to come close to finishing the fight during the round. All of these things matter, but in the Grand Championship, you can pin somebody in the round and end it, or you can do something to win the round. What are you being scored on for winning the round? It's just a cluster.
Yeah, it would have a lot more legs if there wasn't that pinfall element involved, if they actually did score it like an MMA bout where you get the judge's decision after the entire fight is over, because it's 3 rounds. If somebody wins 2 rounds in a row, there's no reason then to have that 3rd round. The fight's just over.
Yes, exactly. You don't score it in the middle of the fight. That part is the biggest cluster of all.
It's like there's little tweaks they could make, little tweaks that the UFC has been using for years and years, and look how successful they are. Just a few little tweaks, and that could be an interesting title to watch, but as it is, it just doesn't make sense.
But you know what? I think I've said all I want to say about Bound for Glory, unless you guys have other things you want to focus on from the pay-per-view. I think the Ring of Honor show they're both good shows for different reasons, but from a technical standpoint, the Ring of Honor show is superior.
Oh, I loved it from beginning to end. Even with matches like Dragon Lee and Kamatachi that went like 16 minutes, it felt like it went long, but it was a damn entertaining 16 minutes. It was long and it felt long, but even the matches that felt long had 2 really talented guys in there.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand Kamitachi was hurting pretty bad after this match.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't following along with that.
I gotta find my own report on it now.
I didn't see anything about that.
Yeah, he had some sort of injury. I'll let you talk while I try to find this story that I reported.
That one was good. I'm sure even in a loss, Abby was just thrilled to see Toru Yano back in an ROH ring using the cutters to cut the turnbuckle off. The turnbuckle
I'm just
padding
thrilled
off.
to see Yano anytime. Yano, he is my spirit animal. One of them. So yes, it doesn't matter what he's doing.
I mean, yeah, that match had all the makings of being boring. It's the first round match in the inaugural ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Championship Tournament, but because Toru Yano was in it, he made it fun. He made it, okay, this isn't just a first round match for a six-man tag team championship that we're establishing. This is your typical Toru Yano Clown Prince of Wrestling stuff.
Yano makes everything better. I thought we had established that a long time ago.
I'm just reiterating that for the new listeners who haven't been listening that long.
Yes, Yano makes everything better. Always.
We had both members of Red Dragon winning their matches, which is kind of what I expected.
Yeah, that opening match, I don't know, I mean, I like Donovan Dijak, but I don't know, it didn't really do much for me.
Well, you're bigger on Donovan Dijak than I am. I'm not quite sold on him, and I saw Bobby Fish going over. It's like even the match that I thought would be a clusterfuck was fun because Dalton Castle was in there.
All right, I finally found my report. Sorry to interrupt. Here's my ROH news from a couple days ago. Blah, 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 blah. Daniels got the praise backstage. Blah, blah, blah. Hansen had 5 stitches. Blah, blah, blah. And Kamitachi twisted his ankle, according to Pro Wrestling Insider.
I'm surprised he didn't do more than twist his damn ankle.
It was a hell of a war of attrition there, yeah. I mean, it was a lucha libre slobber knocker.
It was very good. It was fun. All of their matches are fun.
And it
this
really
wasn't as
helped
crazy
having
as some of
Japan
them.
guys on the card too.
It was a good show. Both of those shows were a lot better than I expected them to be.
It's like having Jay Lethal take on some random ROH guy wouldn't be all that interesting, but having Jay Lethal take on Tetsuya Naito, who had just recently kicked him out of Los Ingobernables de Japón, made it interesting.
I think it's interesting that Tetsuya Naito is arguably the guy more on the rise right now. Jay Lethal is on his way down after losing the ROH World title. Naito's on his way up after winning New Japan's Intercontinental title, and yet Lethal goes over in the singles match. That's interesting booking.
Especially with the New Japan guy going into ROH. Yeah, I mean, it's rare that an ROH guy will go over a New Japan guy.
I know, and they are so protective of these guys, and especially with Naito just winning the IC title, having him lose, I don't really understand what their deal is with Naito.
Now, I think it makes more sense
setting up an IC title match at Wrestle Kingdom 11 with Jay Lethal and Tetsuya Naito?
No, because I think that maybe New Japan has learned that these Ring of Honor guys are really not getting over there. And I don't see them putting one of their second biggest title in a match with a guy that has no chance of really getting over with the dome crowd.
I don't know, because I feel like certain Ring of Honor guys do get over in Japan. Like,
who?
Well, you're going to say he's a New Japan guy now, and he's under contract to them now, but in my mind, I still think of Michael Elgin as having been a Ring of Honor guy.
Well, he was, but he came in as a New Japan guy. He didn't come in as a Ring of Honor guy.
Right, but
he came in the G1 last year, and got over that way, but he was never advertised as a Ring of Honor guy.
Right, and he's under a New Japan contract now, so I'm
saying,
if you point out it's different, you're right. It's just, it just feels to me like if you're the right kind of wrestler, you can get over as a
like
former...
Bobby Fish. Yeah,
right.
Like Red Dragon.
Right, yeah.
O'Reilly, they get over huge with the New Japan crowd.
There are some Ring of Honor guys who do get over there.
Yeah, but there are a lot. I mean, Fish and O'Reilly are over there a lot. Lethal, no. You know, it's like, what singles wrestler do they have that they're going to send over there to put in the, you know, basically the second main event of the Dome show? It's not going to be Lethal.
Yeah.
Adam Cole would be an interesting choice if he's still champion.
Yeah, but Cole isn't, I mean, unless he's going to be over there a lot between now and January, you know, he's part of the Bullet Club. It's, you know, they're going to be more focused on Kenny Omega and the Bucks, who are already over, than they are going to be on Adam Cole.
Fair enough.
And plus, they're not going to put Cole in an IC championship match.
No. All right. Well, do we move on to talking about the King of Pro Wrestling at this point?
Sure.
All right. Well, Jason, you take the lead then.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the card now. I don't know if Google has translated this wrong, but I see Tiger Mask W taking on Red Death Mask.